Okay, Mr. Poilievre, the city of Toronto is struggling. There is a $933 million shortfall that the city is looking at this year. And you heard the deputy mayor talk about some of the gaps. Should the federal government have put some more money into Toronto to help out this city? And if you were prime minister, would you do that?
It's just incredible that after 8 years of Justin Trudeau and over $500 billion of inflationary deficits, in fact, he's added more debt than all previous prime ministers combined, he still hasn't been able to bring it home for our cities. And taxpayers are now broke. They're out of money. His inflationary spending has driven up the cost of living faster than at any time in 40 years. Yesterday's budget announced $60 billion of brand new spending over and above that. That works out to $4,200 for every family in Canada. I don't know any family that can afford another $4,200 of government spending on their backs. A Poilievre government will bring home lower prices by capping spending, cutting waste, getting rid of the inflationary carbon tax and deficits. Will bring home powerful paychecks by lowering taxes so hard work pays off. And will bring homes people can afford by getting the government gatekeepers out of the way to speed up and lower the cost of building permits so we can construct millions of new homes that Canadians need to put roof overhead.
Mr. Poilievre, I recognize that, but when it comes to the deputy mayor saying we're really stuck, we needed some money from the federal government, considering the finance minister is a Toronto MP, and we didn't get that money we were asking for. Would you have provided that funding to the city of Toronto?
I would have put the money back in the pockets of the people of Toronto, who were overtaxed at all three levels of government. They're broke. They can't afford to pay anymore. After 8 years of Justin Trudeau, who's doubled our national debt, added more debt than any other prime minister combined, increased taxes on paychecks, on alcohol, on gas, on every other economic activity, people cannot afford to pay anymore. So Poilievre government's going to bring home lower prices by capping spending, cutting waste, eliminating the inflationary carbon tax and deficits, powerful paychecks. We're going to bring home powerful paychecks by lowering income tax so people bring home more of what they earn. And we're going to bring homes people can afford. A lot of the problem with housing is that local government gatekeepers block home construction. That's why we have the fewest homes per capita of any G7 country. I would link the number of dollars that big cities get to the number of houses they allow to be built, so that they have an incentive to speed up and lower the cost of permits and allow Canadians to build millions of new homes and put roof overhead.
Mr. Poilievre, but how does, people love to hear that any government is putting money back in their pockets. I know you previously, and of course your Deputy Leader Melissa Lantsman had said, look, we want people to take home more money from their paychecks. But how does that solve the problem of, say, ridership is low on the TTC, so the city's not getting revenue from that? What does that do for the city in terms of their funding shortfall when you're putting money back in my pocket?
Well, the government, all three levels of government have too much money, and the people have too little. The federal government has massively increased spending over the last 8 years, and it has not delivered results. It has been gobbled up by bloated bureaucracies. I'll use an analogy. What we have today is the working Canadian is like a skinny man carrying a very fat man called the government up an increasingly steep hill. And that man on his back is getting fatter and fatter each day. Eventually, the man doing all the work is going to get crushed. Enough. It's time to put the fat guy on the diet. Time to put the government on the diet. And it's trying to empower the people who work hard. We need to bring home a Canada that works for the people who do the work. And that's why I'm going to bring home powerful paychecks with lower taxes that reward hard work. That's the Conservative agenda. It's common sense. Let's bring it home.
Mr. Poilievre, I want to pivot for a moment and chat with you about your private member's bill on bail reform. We've heard a number of officials talk about this here in the city of Toronto for some time. Premier Ford saying last week, don't vote for a mayoral candidate that says defund the police. Do you support that?
I think defund the police is an idiotic idea put forward by wealthy and privileged liberal, woke elites who live in gated neighborhoods and are protected from crime. Our police, we need more police. We need stronger support for our police. Conservatives will back up our cops, and we will stand up to any idiotic suggestion of defunding the police. Secondly, we're going to get rid of the catch and release Liberal NDP bail and parole policies. Justin Trudeau has unleashed a crime wave like we have never seen in this country by releasing the repeat violent offenders into our streets to offend again and again and again. We've seen these brutal killings on the TTC transit station, people being stabbed in broad daylight, and most of the time by repeat violent offenders that Justin Trudeau let out early on bail because of his changes to the criminal code. I'll bring in jail, not bail. Jail, not bail for repeat violent offenders. We'll end early parole for repeat offenders. And I'll ban hard drugs and stop using tax money to hand them out. Finally, I'm going to sue big pharma companies to make them pay the full price of the rehabilitation and drug treatment program that is going to be needed to undo the crisis that they caused by flooding our healthcare system with opioids.
Mr. Poilievre, that's all the time we have. Thank you for outlining your priorities and your priorities for the city of Toronto to us. We appreciate your time always. Opposition Leader Pierre Poilievre, thank you so much.
It's common sense. Let's bring it home.
Thank you, Mr. Poilievre.